So it might seem a little arcane that I'm going to be using pen and paper. I just find it a little bit easier to explain these concepts as I'm writing them out. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with your major scale formula. This is going to be a series of whole steps and half steps. So let me just write this down. Now this one, I think this is worth remembering. Maybe you want to write this down somewhere, take notes. This is going to be, like I said, a series of whole steps and half steps. So we have a whole step, half step. Whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And the way this was taught to me was to put a circle around this W in the middle. The circle doesn't really signify anything, but it makes it stand out that both sides of that are exactly the same. So on the left side of the center whole step, you have whole step, half step. And on the right side, you have whole step, half step. So if you've never seen this before, this is probably not making a lot of sense right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to use this series of whole steps and half steps and apply this to the chromatic scale to get any given major scale that we want from that. Okay, so we'll just, again, I'll start with A. Okay, so this is our chromatic scale. And what we're going to do is we're just going to, just for ease, we'll pull out the A major scale. We've already looked at that one. We can go back and double check the list that I've already given you to make sure I do this correctly. So if I want to know what the A major scale is, what the notes of the A major scale are, what I do is I start from A, and then I'm going to apply this formula. And so I'm going to start at A. I can make this little line here, and I'm going to go a whole step from A. That gives me B. And so let's just go ahead and write out the notes that we get here. So here we're going to have our major scale. Just underline that. We start with our root note. This will be A. And then we went a whole step. All right. And we got B. So now we checked off our first whole step. Now we're going to do another whole step. So we're going to go from B. Here's a half step is C, and a whole step is C sharp. So go up there. We can circle our C sharp. We can write that down here. And then we can check off our second whole step. So now we're going to go from here, we're going to go a half step. So from C sharp, a half step is just D. It's the note right next to it. Check off our half step. Now from D, we're going to go another whole step. That takes us over to E. We'll circle that, write it down. Check off our whole step. We're going to go another whole step from E. That takes us over to F sharp. Circle it. Check that off. Now we've got another whole step. So we go from F sharp to G sharp. Circle that guy. Write that down. Okay, so we've made it all the way through our chromatic scale, but we still have this half step left. If we go a half step from G sharp, that takes us to A. And so we're back to A again. And that's what you should get. So if you ever do this, and I recommend, especially if this is new to you, I recommend trying this. Get a sheet of paper, write down your major scale formula, and then write out the chromatic scale. Write it out from whichever letter that you're wanting to start from. So if you want to figure out what notes are in the D major scale, start your chromatic scale out from the letter D, write it all out just like I did, and then apply this formula. If you get to the end of the formula and you've got something other than D, you know you've made a mistake somewhere. So this half step takes us to A, and that's exactly what we want. And so now from this, we have all of the notes in the A major scale. And like I said earlier, that also applies to the key. So we also know that these are all of the notes that are allowed in the key of A major. Okay, so now that we've got these, we can take this scale and then we can figure out what chords are available to us in the key of A major. And so again, there's going to be another formula. This is going to be using Roman numerals. Okay, and so each of these Roman numerals, when we write this down, basically, now this is for keys in major scales. So you have 1, and then you have a lowercase 2. The lowercase and uppercase are important here. And then you have a lowercase 3, an uppercase 4, uppercase 5, a lowercase 6, and then you've got a lowercase 7 with a little circle up here. Now what this is diminished. This is telling you that this chord is going to be diminished. I'll do a video at some point on these qualities. We'll have, for our triads, we'll have major, minor, diminished, and augmented. If it doesn't make sense to you right now, it's not crucial to know. Just understand that this is going to be, your lowercase is going to be minor chords, and then you'll have anything with this little circle here is going to be diminished, and then your capital letters on these Roman numerals are going to be major chords. I feel like I didn't explain that super well just now. I kind of took it out of order. So I'm going to run through this one more time. You're going to use these Roman numerals to determine what chords are available to you in the scale. So this is a formula that you can use, and you can plug notes into this. So anytime you see a Roman numeral that's capital, that stands for something that's major. That's going to be a major chord. If you see a lowercase Roman numeral, that's going to be a minor chord. And then, at least in the case of your major key formula, you're only going to have a diminished chord. That's going to be the one with the little circle on it, lowercase within a little circle. Okay, so let's tie this back to the major scale that we derived from our chromatic scale earlier. So we had our major scale that we got, which we did A, and we determined that the notes of that scale are A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp. And then of course we have our unison an octave above. This gives us our A. We're right back to A. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes available to us in the key of A. 7 notes in the major scale. And then we look over here, this little formula that I've put down, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Roman numerals. And so basically, if you have this Roman numeral formula, this is the quality of the chords in a major key. So every major key is going to have its first chord is going to be major, its fourth chord, its fifth chord are going to be major. It's going to have a minor at the second, a third, its sixth chord is going to be minor, and then the final chord is going to be diminished. And so you just take the notes here, and then you just list them right next to the Roman numerals. D, E, sharp, and G sharp. Okay, so this tells us we have an A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major, E major, F sharp minor, and then a G sharp diminished. So from this, let's say that you're a songwriter and you wanted to write something in the key of A. Well, you would know that the key of A would start with an A major chord, but maybe you don't know what the other chords are in that key. Well, now you can figure it out. One, first you derive the major scale from your chromatic scale using the formula that I showed you. Once you have the notes for that, you can plug those notes into this list of Roman numerals, and this tells you the chords then that you have available to you in a given key. All right, so to determine the chords in a major key, these are the steps. First, you're going to decide on the key that you want to work with. So in our example, we used A. And so what I did is I wrote out the chromatic scale starting with the root note of A. So you determine which key that you want to work in. You write out the chromatic scale starting with the root note of that key. Then you apply the major scale. Whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. You take the notes that you derive from your chromatic scale using this formula, and then you plug those into your Roman numerals. So you, again, uppercase Roman numeral gives you a major. Lowercase Roman numeral gives you a minor. And then the lowercase with the little circle gives you a diminished chord. If we go back and look at the key of A major, so we derive these notes, and then we plug that into our Roman numerals, and we got these chords. So we have an A major, B minor, C sharp minor. One last point that I want to make is that all of these chords are going to be built using only the notes that are available to us in the key. So you're not going to find inside of any of these chords, you're not going to find any notes that are outside of this. That's why these chords are contained within the key of A major, because these chords all are built using just the notes that are available to us in the key of A major, which we find from our A major scale. All right. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to email me or message me on YouTube with any questions that you've got.